A white weatherboard millhouse leans beside the Little Stour River, keeping watch over the village of Wickhambrew. Across a picturesque green with its 13th century flint-built church of St Andrew, green-shuttered manor house and grand Queen Anne rectory, lurks an ancient timber-framed alehouse known as the Rose. The homely inn, like the medieval Kentish village itself, is a quaintly photogenic refuge. Locals, walkers and occasional sightseers head here to sup and dine, to toast birthdays, weddings and funerals, to rejoice and to mourn, to ponder time both spent and yet to come. Creaking beams, wood floors and spitting log fires heave with fragments of the bygone and the blown. The prevailing mood is cosy, if a little restless. Non-villagers here are en route to somewhere else. Not all of them could tell you where they're heading. At a time in her life when she had burned bridges and turned her back on her bandmates to make a new home in this tucked-away place, Christine was a frequent visitor to the Rose. She dropped in every day, give or take at one point, around lunchtime or during the early evening, in need of human contact, as well as sustenance, and for want of anything better to do. I pull up a chair where she used to sit, recalling her silhouette cast by a lamp on the wall beside a corner table. I imagine her there, resting forward on one elbow, bare skin on wood, the thumb of her right hand pressed into her cheekbone, her palm flattened against her lips, obscuring her mouth. There are pretty dozing dogs at her feet. She stares, not at you, but into the middle distance, through a wax-dripped bottle plugged with a melted stub, which seems metaphorical. Her life, like the candle in the flask where she once lingered, flared as brilliantly as any in its day, but was snuffed out ahead of its time. My late friend, the celebrated bassist Mo Foster, used to say that when a person dies, it's like a library burning down. So much talent, knowledge, insight and experience reduced in a flash to ash. She purchased her property here, the Quaves, a large Tudor house and estate with paddocks, gardens, cottages and barns, in 1990. Several years of renovations ensued, which turned out to be more extensive and expensive than she had anticipated. Had she realised, she said, she probably wouldn't have bought the place. She took up residence in 1998. She had quit Fleetwood Mac, the band that had made her rich and globally famous. At 55, her life, to the outsider an endless jet-set whirl of luxury and privilege, was in reality a litany of loss. Of her mother, Beatrice, when Chris was only 25. Of two husbands, Mac bassist John McVie, whom she married the year her mother died, and Portuguese keyboardist Eddie Quintella, whom she wed when she was 43. Both marriages ended in divorce. Of the love of her life, wayward beach boy Dennis Wilson, who was her dangerously handsome obsession, who could not help but betray her with her acknowledged best friend because it was the kind of thing that Dennis did. Of the children she would have adored but never got round to having, mourning motherhood only after her fertility had expired. Of the solo career in which she dabbled, was enriched by, and that earned her great acclaim, but to which she could never quite rise to give her all. There was something of Miss Havisham about Christine, alone in her huge red brick house on its sprawling 19 acres where she planted many trees in memory of lost loved ones so that she could keep them all close by. Her estate was bigger than the whole village, she would joke. She wasn't far wrong. But she was a tragic Dickensian character only in passing. There was no moping about in a rotting wedding gown, no sconces laced with tangling cobwebs, no rat-infested wedding cake and banquet, no clock stopped at 20 minutes to 9. Having survived catastrophe, although she resisted loneliness, she was alone again. Naturally, she would have given anything not to be. She had been unlucky in love, she admitted sadly. She confessed to having found that a real drag.